itself into aggregated functions. Now generally whenever a question comes to your functions, already we have been seeing in certain circumstances, the question may not be straightforward to the process, but the interviewer definitely expects you to provide the service with respect to his expectations on the process. So what do you exactly mean by this? If you're just trying to look into the fact of this particular query, what is available, we are first getting the general details of the Smith onto our screen. Now giving some information in front of you like this, he'll say, can you adjust the hire rate of Mr. Smith advanced by 1 month? Okay, he just simply says like, give me a query, can advance the Smith's hire rate by 1 month. And along with that he will simply say, putting the date in full year. So when he says full year, you should understand he's saying that it's YY. So the things are not difficult what he is basically trying to expect from you. But when he says advanced by 1 month, immediately you have to remember that he's talking to you on the concept of your add months function. So whenever you deal with the composition of your add months always takes the number of months you want to add and puts the date to the process of the next level of the month what you are expecting. And he's saying he needs a full year. So you need to always understand that you're calling upon the add months and then you're associating your hire date, 1. So it's definitely making my date to move by 1 month in the process. And since he's expecting a full year in the criteria, then technologically we are going to care with, we are saying YY. So when a question comes to you, it just speaks in pure English format. And the English format what your interviewer is trying to speak, you should know how to keep up into the process and start moving. So you can't expect the interviewer saying that you know add months function and can you represent a 4-digit year for me. You may not just use the terms what we use in the classrooms. Be very clear about that. As a faculty, when I am training you, I have to use the terms that look very suitable to your understandability. But interviewer will be keeping his terminology, where the terminology definitely goes and the terminology definitely associates with the process and priority of business terms. He uses more of business terminology rather than technical or SQL terminology. You should understand this. In the same construct, you can just even go with the construct like this. You just watch generally concat-like functions, they always go with what? Only 2 parameters, yes or no? So he just says like, I want you to present that already I have been showing you this, I'm just trying to make you get recollected. He just says, I want the information of an employee as King is a president. Can you just get me this information? Now many a number, I don't say students will not attempt it, but generally what happens to student is he goes with ename concatenated with is a, and then he goes with the job. So we are not just complaining that what he's doing is wrong. Now technically he's just going with this. And we are trying to say where ename is equal to king. That's what I'm trying to say now. Now once you give your answer like this, your interviewer can say like, I don't want you to operate with the concatenation operator, he says. He simply says like, I don't want the concatenation operator. Every student definitely remembers, that there is a function called as concat. Now generally what happens with major part of the students is they strictly believe that concat function can take only 2 parameters. Now he is expecting ename, job. It's very easy to edit. But he is expecting some literal in this now. So students who are not having knowledge on, means who are not having good exposure on nested functions, those students will major number of times get confused. I have seen students giving answer like this one. Okay, you just watch. One of the way I have seen students answering this particular question who doesn't believe in the concept of nesting of the functions. We are saying king, let us say. There are students who attempt like this. Now technically what I say is the student knows that he is doing a mistake because the interviewer said don't use concatenation operator. But his general mentality looks like, okay, let me give the answer. That's what yesterday I said. Don't manipulate your interviewers. Okay? This is something like you're manipulating the interviewer. If he feels that you're manipulating him, definitely he will not consider you. So he seriously said that without using the concatenation operator, but even the few students have seen they start like this, thinking that at least one operator I am compromising, so my interviewer can select me. And other tendencies I have seen, at least half a mark he will give me. So it's not your examination means as that you write your name and your hall ticket number, at least you will attempt marks. Okay, interviews never happen like that. You should be very clear with the concept. A student who is very clear with nesting, he definitely goes with a concept of concat, and then he just keeps the constant over there, and then he just gets on with what? A comma there, and he just closes this, and then he gets through the process. So every function I have been specifying the properties. Okay, before I get into my group function, I'm just trying to make a brush up of the process. If you can just watch here, I'm using the same composition here to just give you information of maybe something else. So we are having James and clerk is designation. So we say James is a clerk using the composition of what? Nesting. When you are doing nesting, you watch in the previous case, I did the concatenation to the literal to the second column. In this, I did concatenation to the column to the literal first and then concatenated. In which order you do it, that doesn't matter. Sorry, catching the point? He never looks into the order of how you are doing it. Now, the third kind of construct you can generally find is this. He gives you any date, whatever he likes. Be very clear on some construct. He gives you any date, whatever he likes, and he simply says that, can you just get me the new year of the current year? See the way he uses the terms, okay? He says, get me the new year of the current year. Current year in the sense he is speaking on that date. You should understand that. Okay, you cannot go into the student who doesn't catch up these terms, he'll think the current year means 2013. They start correcting in such a way that from 1992 to 2013 they'll start correcting. So he gives you date for that reason. He says like, if this is the current date, please give me the new year of this current date, he says. Now when he specifically gives a date and tells you to work, there are cases where I don't say student will not do, but multiple approaches they follow. One of the approaches you watch, he just goes with select, this is your date that is given to you. One of the way a student works is, he goes with my date, let us say, then he just starts with add months. And he's picking up this particular add months as a criteria. Now it is October. He says current year means I should get into the negative of this, yes or no? So he says minus 10. Okay, he simply says like minus 10. So once I said minus 10, what? How many months I went back?
10 months.
10 months in the sense, which will be the date it's returning now? It is going for the sake of January? No. Watch carefully, exactly 10 months. 27th December 91. So we have seen in yesterday's class, or maybe the day before yesterday's class, we said add months whenever it is subtracting exactly 10 months from there. So 10 months from 27th October is what? 27th December 91. From there what the student does is, he says something like plus 5 and he says new year. And you just watch, he's saying from Jewel. So definitely it is giving 1st January 92. Correction has been done, you can't complain on this. 150% correction has been done. But how many times you know that your interviewer is not accepting this? The second type of students are there who does the job like this, watch. He says add months and in the place of minus 10 he says minus 9. When I said minus 9, where it went now? 27th January 92. Sure no? And he will just go with the process and he says minus 26. This is also giving me the 1st January 92 or no? Yes. See, student convinces that what he did is correct. We are not saying that what he did is wrong. The result has come, so definitely we are all saying that the criteria is definitely nothing but the constructed concept of its 1st January, no doubt about it. So whenever you are dealing with the basic process, you are just trying to go down with the specification and just watch the other student is attempting, what he is doing you just watch. He remembers that we can definitely use this concept in truncate on the dates. Truncate on the dates always goes with what? The specification of correction to the process with the year indicator if we provide, it automatically moves on with the correction to the 1st January of the same year. So he just goes with that. Okay? Now he says in this particular place, YEAR. And you know very well that whenever truncate is basically trying to move on, it is adjusting that particular date by looking into the year, and always it is the first of the same year. But he is forgetting one fundamental point on this. The fundamental point what is missing is, he just forgets that truncate is originally a number function. And here we are giving a date in single quotes. And you may ask me like, sir, yesterday when we worked it was working. You watch carefully. Yesterday when I was using truncated round function, truncated round specifically was working with sysdate or higher date. I never use date like this. So when you give a column that is date type, or when you give something like sysdate, it will work because there is a format of the date coming internally from the system itself. But here this is a date for you, but this is not technically a date for the sake of the system. Means your truncate cannot recognize this. So he is fundamentally forgetting one simple point that he has to go for conversion of this to underscore date. Now I just want you to check one thing. Why we should ask you, do you know truncate, do you know to date conversion function? We gave you a situation, you attempted or not. So situationally, are you catching up or not? That's your choice, you have to check out. If you're not catching up your process on the criteria, you may just do some silly mistakes which could be costing you. Your interviewer was definitely expecting an answer like this. He was not expecting that, can you give the output or not? Your approach was being questioned there. Every question has 2 or 3 different kinds of approaches. Every question has 2 or 3 different kinds of approaches. But every approach that's moving on, we will finalize which is the better approach, which is the best approach, which is the worst approach. Are you giving that approach to us very properly or not is the final question. Be very clear about these things. And one more student is attempting it. Here you just watch, he is attempting it today, giving the date directly. Did he give format indicator? No. He did not give format indicator because this date is already what? Natural format. Another student is coming and he is giving the format indicator. Definitely the student will get full marks. Here you may ask, sir, even if I don't give format indicator, it is working, then why my interviewer is expecting this? I was very clearly telling in my previous class, explicitly the maximum what we can do, it is always better. The system increases its performance. The perspective in which we are accepting your answer to the perspective in which we were expecting the answer, if both are matching, then only you will get your whole marks. Be very, very clear about it. Therefore, out of so many number of heads that are sitting in the class, every head will say, I completed Oracle. But I am promising very clearly, only 25% people will get their job in first attempt. All the remaining 75% people, they will definitely have to get through the struggle. Why? You neglect your practice now, you definitely have to neglect and postpone your job by time. There is no other smart process now. Be very clear. Your arrogance cannot get you the job done. Be very clear about it, okay? You can be arrogant on anybody, you can't be arrogant on the interviewer. Sir, I am very short-tempered. That may not help you. Be very clear about it, okay? We know how to get you into pressure, and in pressure we will check how your brain will work. Therefore, especially for people who are there, I am telling you, we will keep you into stress. We will irritate you in the interview rooms. And while we are irritating you, we will check how your basic intelligence will work. Therefore, sir, I am such a kind of personality, I will get anger very easily. Anger is not a criteria, that is one strategy of selecting you in the industry. Therefore, your anger management, personality management, your body language, your attitude, your interpersonal, many things are cross-checked. When we are looking towards you, we will understand what kind of psychological state you people are. But we don't tell you because this is not personality development class. Be very clear. The way you behave, everything will reflect about you. So, we are not only training, we are even watching. From every batch we know who are the students who get selected immediately. But technically we don't try to go with that. Why? Because it's none of our business. So when you are sitting in front of interviewer, the way you speak, the way you associate with that, they will, because every interviewer who sits in the interview panel, in good companies, they are definitely trained for psychoanalysis. Be very clear about that. HRs are well versed in that. Therefore, when you are answering and the way your body language looks and you said, and when we watch you, how you enter into the class, what you're trying, where you're sitting in the class, how you're trying to operate in the class, all these things will tell us many number of things about you. So, learning Oracle means it can be done in any way. But is your attempt is correct according to the way it is expected? Wrong things, but it can affect you, be careful. I don't need to do all these mistakes and show you. The simple thing what I'm trying to say is, until you do not experience this at least once, you'll never stop doing that particular mistake once again. So, when we ask a question, why we should ask you, do you know truncate function and do you know to date conversion functions on dates? No way. Question never carries your subject. Remember that. Question carries only the problem. Problem should be analyzed by you. In which way you analyze, that's your expertise. That's what I said. One person has analyzed the problem like this. Another person has analyzed the problem like this. Both the people gave me the correct output only. Who can complain that they did not give the correct output? The third person has analyzed the problem like this, forgetting simple fact that truncate is purely a numerical function which cannot directly work on dates like this. Then technically what I say is, every student should go and work like this is not a rule. Because major part of the time students' attitude will be, the example that is given by the faculty in the material, they'll type it as it is. And you should always remember one thing, within the material, why we give an example that will give you an error? So you will develop a psychological state when you follow the books. The state what you follow is, when you type that question or when you type that particular select statement from the book, it is not at all giving any errors. You are getting the outputs definitely. So you will develop a pseudo-psychology that you are not at all doing any errors. Means a false state, success will be generated in your brain. Because the total book you have typed and nowhere an error came. So your mind automatically gets fixed now. I know everything, I am not doing mistakes. So there is a chance that you know what mistakes will happen. The following books is good or bad, I don't say. Technically, a good professional, what he does is, he follows the book for the concept and he never tries to take the example from the book as it is. And in the material also, we don't give any particular type of queries or anything with errors. Why? Because a wonderful feedback will come. Say like the whole material is given to you where every select statement you type it is getting errors. A very wonderful feedback will come now. Useless material when all errors are there. But positively, no student will think in this market like, because errors are coming, I got a chance to correct it. So, no way. Means, we are developing you or we are spoiling you, you will never understand. Remember that, okay? So, what you think is, material is my total amount of guide for success now. Actually, material is not for success, it's destroying you, remember that. Therefore, please follow the schools definitely. Because in the schools when you are following which error, I was discussing with you for what reason will be there. You are following, you are not following, that's your headache. Be very clear about that. Therefore, school will tell you what we did in the class with the reasons why we did in the class. So the reasons are to be captured very properly in the construct. Therefore, you just need to understand the student is also doing it. We are not saying that it is wrong, but the student is finally giving proper information to the interviewer. is finally giving proper information to the interviewer. Out of these 4 or 5 students who came into the interview room, definitely my choice will be one person. So, questions when you are attempting, are you attempting them in a very proper way? Are you catching up the approach of the question very effectively? That's where your concentration should move. Now let us just take one simple composition here. This is the original data of Mr. Martin. What we are having with us. The question will be very simple by your interviewer. Please advance the hire date of Mr. Martin to the terminal day of the 5th month. Okay? Just watch carefully. Advance the hire date of Mr. Martin to the terminal day of the 5th month. When we say 5th month, out of 10 students I have seen 4 students' mind immediately goes to May month. He is purely in the calendar now. So what he will be thinking is, from September I have to correct the month to May. That is where he is concentrating. If that is really a process, he will definitely never tells you advance. So he is very clear in his English statement, advance the hire date of Mr. Martin to the terminal day of the 5th month. The terminal day is something you should always understand. If terminal day is not understood, you will never know what exactly is expecting from you. Terminal day of the month means the last day of that particular month. But technically, 28th September is not the last day. So, students who understood 5th month as something like May month, I am not speaking about those guys. But the students who really understood that, they have to go with the composition of the criteria and they have to associate as 5th month. They will attempt something like this. Watch, I am saying add months and he will go with hire date, comma 5. So am I not advancing by 5 months from there now? From September, 5 months. But is missing the main component of the query what the interviewer was asking. There is nothing but terminal day is missing from him. 28 to 28. Now major number of times students get satisfied with this. That's how we strategically ask the question. When you look into this 28th February, is not 28th February is the terminal day of February? Yes or no? Yes, it's the last day of February. So the student thinks that I am correct. That's where he started with September and he said 5th month of the process. So when you say September to 5th month, definitely it comes to 28 because the job of admins is what? Where it starts, there it ends. It is so coincidental. 28th September to 5th month from there will become 28th February. When 28th February is definitely what? A terminal day. That's how the student closes off. But he is definitely trying to check, are you using the last day function or not? Your concentration is on September. But interview's concentration is any month if it is there, from there it should be terminal day. So, a question for add months function, a question for last day function, and a question for TUCAN for presentation of the full year. So, when a question is being asked, we are not asking you question to the subject, we are always asking question to the concept. Are you working to the concept or not? Now, there are cases where people debate, sir, if I am doing like this also, 20th February is coming. Now, for those people, I don't think we need to seriously discuss and debate exactly what it is. How many times you are conceptual, how many times you are subject oriented, make a difference very quick. Especially those heads that are giving experience in your resumes, be very, very clear that you will be cross-cornered in every area of the system for implementation. And today the industrial methodology has changed very seriously. Even if you are keeping 3.5 or 4 years experience also, you have to go through written examination definitely. 3 to 3.5 hours written examination is there, almost all in major companies. So, people who are moving down with fake experiences, or people who are thinking of or already working professionals, expecting a change in the career, are you getting prepared to what the industrial process is currently going with? So, you have to come up to the concept of the system very quick. Now, in the same question, he may add one more level and he say, correct the hire date of Mr. Martin to the first day of the 6th month, he says. So when he's saying first day of the 6th month, is simply expecting a composition of +1 there, where your system goes to the 1st of March. March is definitely 6th month from September in calculation. Terminal day, 1st of the month, these kind of words of business you should be very quick to catch. So why I should know all these things? In business environments, date corrections are very common. Very clear about date corrections are very common in business environments. So without correcting the standard of the date or state of the date, you cannot survive. And when you are working with these things, that's what I said, finally you apply the date functions the way we are expecting is enough for us. Means what I mean to say is, you're keeping this +1 on the last day here, or you're keeping the +1 on the process of this, it all depends on you. So we are just not seriously checking where you keep the operators. But the correct combination I'm expecting is coming out, it's not coming. The specific functions what I'm expecting are coming out, they are not coming. That's where you should always check out. So, you should not forget one specific issue. Before I am asking you the question, my mind has already decided the approach. Then only I am asking you. So, my approach should match with the answer what you give. Then you are fully satisfying me. So, every question has its own internal intellectuality of concept checkout. This is one more kind of question. He gives you 2 dates like this. He gives some dates in numerical form like this. And he says, can you tell me the number of months between these 2 dates? The first thing that will happen, major number of times with students is this. First I want to watch where generally a major number of students will do the mistake. They remove the to date and they'll start working. There's a personal mistake done by major number of students. So what is the mistake he's trying to do? When both are looking like dates only, he's forgetting that numerical months will not support any conversion. He's forgetting that. Don't expect any straightforward question from interviews like, do you know conversion functions? Definitely we don't ask that. So conversion function, do you know, we always give you a situation and check you are applying the conversion function or not. That's what I was saying in my previous 2 classes. No student can forget conversion functions, but he will definitely forget the applicability of the area. So the applicability of the area you're just not catching up, then definitely you're lost in the process. So here you need to go 150% with to date. And what the student does with to date is this. Major part of the constructs you watch now. He says to date here, and technically a student who does not have a habit of giving format indicators, he closes like this. Generic mistake, because he was not practicing with format indicators, thinking that Oracle will supply the format indicator always. The psychological state will make him do the mistake. Are you practicing your Oracle with orthodoxical sense? Orthodoxical in the sense, this is the only way I should do. You depend on automation, that's your headache. If automation is compulsion,
then I don't think we could have been spending on conversion function for so many days. So you have to keep yourself very clear with format indicators. In format indicators, a small mistake can always happen at this stage. What is the chess watch? He says dd-mm-yyyy. Now, technically, if you watch, this is correct. Means by declaration, if you're watching in, I don't think there is any kind of mistake behind the format indicator and the way you are basically trying to work in the process. But one simple question your interviewer can come up with is, how did you decide that this is day and this is month? You watch how strategically he gave you the question in such a way that he is keeping this particular day and month area both less than 13. So he is not expecting an answer actually, he is expecting a clarification from you. On few questions we expect clarification, not answers. A student who is conceptually very quick, he will ask the interviewer, sir, I basically can apply to the process, but I need a small clarification. Sir, shall I treat this format as day and month or month and day? Or few students are more specific to business, they will immediately question, sir, shall I take this date as US format or UK format? Then the interviewer definitely understands what you are expecting and he finally comes to a conclusion saying that okay, man, leave it. Because what you are thinking I came to know, so I know that you will never do mistakes in the process. That sense you have to check. One thing what I say is, in both the cases, when you are executing, your answer may be same. You just watch carefully, you take it as MMTD or TDMM. In both the cases, 150% your answer will be same. But here you should always remember, answer is not the priority on which we are concentrating. We are only concentrating on your exposure of the format. Therefore, why I should ask you, can we represent a date in US format or UK format? We don't need to ask you. When we are giving a question, we know what concept we are checking from you. Are you catching the concept what we are expecting from you? This frequency of synchronization should come between you and your interviewer. Then your first interview is the last interview. Else, until you don't develop that synchronization, you have to go on attending interviews. So, I am practicing Oracle doesn't mean that you are practicing to the sense what the interviewers and your industry are expecting. How many times you are giving your concentration to that, please check from your side. Now this is another constraint. Generally he'll ask you, how you get confused, you just watch. These are all very simple things, but they keep many students into trauma. He just gives any date like this. And he just says, gentlemen, can you tell me what is the date from this date that is to the Tuesday? What is the date from this date that is to the Tuesday? A student who doesn't remember next day function, he gets into great confusion like, if I don't know this date is on which weekday, how I can know when the Tuesday will come? General tendency of human being calculation. If I gave you one date and said that if this date is falling on Sunday, then what will be the date on Tuesday? Easily we can answer. But I gave you some date and I said that can you tell me from that date what will be Tuesday? First you should know the date is what. Forgetting one simple assessment that in Oracle we directly have a function for what? Next day. I was already speaking with you on this very properly, where I was just telling you next day always takes you to the nearest to weekday what we mentioned. Why I should say, do you know next day? His mechanism of asking question will be very different. And therefore, people generally following frequently asked questions. I'll tell you one simple truth. 80% of the questions from frequently asked questions are not as it is in major number of interviews. Very clear. Maybe such questions are asked, but we will not ask in the same style. We change the question in our own words, in English, and we'll ask. We'll never know that it's the same question. Following websites, following frequently asked questions is not bad. But keeping one psychological state that because of those questions I'll get the job is very wrong. And because of those questions, even if you got the job, you can keep your job is another level of fantasy. We don't keep anybody who cannot work on the process. Finally, you have to prove yourself in the project. In the project, you can't play any game because project is reality. You can't work in reality if you're not working conceptually from classrooms. So, what is your concentration to catch up on the process checkout? Now, normally, you just watch, we know always NVL can give alternate value for any kind of data what we are having in the form of nulls or no? Yes. But long back we said, if it is a number, it returns what? Number only. If it is a character, it returns what? Character only. If it is a date, it returns what? Date only. But one of the questions that comes in is, whenever I am having employees without commissions, I want not applicable or no commission. Commission is actually which data type? Number. But we are expecting which output? Character. So now you know conversion functions, you can definitely do that. So you are simply telling the NVL before it can print this that please convert my commissions into characters. And then please see that you are giving me message as not applicable. Long back I was telling you, maybe one of your friend can say, I can even print in this character. We have to wait until our concept is clear. Today, if I discuss about NVL with this, you can catch me very easily. Because you are well aware of the conversions and exactly what they are trying to do. Therefore, whenever you expect that, your NVL should give you some alternate of the data than the actual data type. Convert that particular data to the corresponding data type first. So that state of conversion should be planned by you. You don't go for conversion and you directly give the project. Generally, you watch, your interviewer gives you some output like this. And he says, can you get me this output? Sincerely, let us speak one thing, man. What is our practice generally? What is the methodology of our practice generally? We are taking a question and writing a select statement and checking the output generally. Yes or no? And in classroom, question is also not there. Directly I am writing one select statement and I am showing the output and I am explaining what is happening. Yes or no? But interview will be reverse of this. In interview, we will give you output like this. Directly. And we say, get me this output. How many times we show you the output, you can immediately plan the select statement for that. Interview will go 80% reverse of what you practice in your labs and your classrooms. So why interview works like that? Client also speaks with you like that only. One day early in the morning, my client may come into my mailbox and he will just shows me something like this and says, Satish, I just want a report like this. You cannot tell the client like, sir, which function I should use. Client says, if I know that, why I will give you a project? I will develop my project. Client speaks with you with solution what he already has, but he doesn't know the approach. He doesn't know the methodology. Therefore, when your client shows you, I want this, how many times your brain can work on that, how to achieve it, and then give him the standard result what is expected. So there is some deviation between the classroom, your lab, and the interviews and the reality of the project. The more quick you can catch these things, it's better. Therefore, what I say is, there are many things you have to concentrate other than only what you are learning in the class. Are you really trying to concentrate on all those technical factors continuously, which can make you get your job and keep you in the job? Just saying that, sir, I'm listening to your class, I'm practicing very seriously, that's not enough. Other skills. What are the other skills you're developing? Are you developing listening skills? Are you developing the interpersonal skills? Are you developing the network skills between the human beings, what you have done? Are you developing the criteria of the qualitative skills? Classroom will only develops you with subject skills. So, we are not doing everything very perfectly, be very careful. Why? Because there is no way. Because your course is a capsule of time frame. Within that we have to complete. So our concentration will be only on subject. Continuously complete the chapters, that's all. So only those students who work beyond what is done in the class, those students extraordinarily will get in with the interviews. So I'm just pinpointing your requirements the way you have to think. How we develop time tells us. So every small question can be a very big difference. If you said truncate and you started adjusting that to New Year of the same year, by round you know very well that we always adjust to on New Year of the next year if it is greater than or equal to July. In both the cases, rules are same. So your interviewer is only checking whether you can work with all the compositions or not. If it is 27th October 92, corrected to 1st January 93, New Year of the coming year. So any date he will give you and he'll say, can you correct the date to New Year of the coming year? He may give you any date and he may say, can you correct the date to New Year of the same year? In both the cases, you should know where to apply with your rounded truncate and start working. In the same constraint, I'm just moving down with this. See, there are simple things in Xamen, like please get me the Blake's hire date with full form of the month, day and year. Format is very clear. Full form of the month, day and year. So you are definitely using full form of the month. You are using the day and you are using the year. No complaints, no regrets, no issues. But how many times you know that your interviewer was not only expecting this from you. He is concentrating on one small issue what you are missing. That is nothing but forgetting the FM on the process. He will never ask you, whenever a month is spelled, what is the total number of pads? Never. Whenever a weekday is spelled, what is the total number of pads? He never questions. He will just give you one situation and he will be checking, are you applying that or not? The student who gave this, both are finally generating the output what I want. But the student definitely loses a quarter of a mark. And he may not be knowing that, that's it. So not using fill mode, is it such a big problem? See, when we ask a question if it is having 2 marks, attempt will not be 2 marks when every component is shared in that. So 2 marks I am dividing by suppose like some 10 parameters. Whichever parameter you missed in that, that part of the mark is lost. So anybody who is attempting to pull, he will be getting 2. You may not be getting 2 if you have missed any parameter what I am expecting. So, according to your intentions, interviews are never conducted. First understand this. According to our intention, you have to attempt. Why? Because we are the final authority to give you the job when we are in the interview panel. So, why I will prefer anybody who is not giving me answers the way I expected? Be very sure. It is not university examination. You attempted, even if part of the meaning is there, you may get marks. Interviews will never give you like that. This difference, especially students who are coming from colleges, you please try to understand. Don't come with that attempting intelligence, which your college supports you, your university supports you. Interviews will never support you like that. So every question when we ask, we have some criteria behind it. That's where the moment he says, please tell me, then how many times you're going with this? Every point I was specifying with every format indicator its behaviors. You remember, you don't remember, that is your problem. It's not my problem. Now, whenever you test forward, I told you yesterday with RR indicator, he'll tell you something like this one, okay? See very carefully. He just calls with the process, as it is I am calling onto my screen. He says, I am issuing one date for display, assuming that the date is between 1950 to 1999. Means my clock is running between 1950 to 1999. Can you tell me, if I give this 2-digit year, what is the 4-digit my Oracle will return me? In that particular case, rather than explaining what I said yesterday on the board, first you should write the query. So major number of times your interviewers always concentrate, say like I'm changing my particular clock watch, where it is assuming that our date is between what, 1950 to 1990. So I kept 1997 in my clock and I'm attempting it. So technically when you're working, and what he says is, can you present this date? See the way he questions you. Can you present this date for me with 4-digit year with correct century to what it represents? Can you present this date for me with 4-digit year with correct century to what it represents? Major number of times what happens, I'll show you. I'm giving my date here once again to what we are actually. This is 2013. What happens, you watch. Okay, we are directly calling the construct with 4-digit year or not. And then when you are executing this, you watch, whenever you are coming into the construct, there is a first level mistake what the student will do. Forgetting that, in anxiety that's it. It's not wantedly he does. In anxiety what he does is, he takes the date directly and he tries to give the format indicator as it is. His anxiety is that he needs a 4-digit year. Forgetting simple fundamental constructs that he is not converting that into a date format. The second type of student, what he does is he remembers everything, and what he does, you watch. He says to underscore date. And what he goes with is dd-mon-yy is very specifically correct, understanding that this is a date in which format now? dd-mon-yy. So he's converting that into date first of all, and that is converting it into what now? Tucar. In Tucar he is saying that he wants represented which way? 4-digit year. So nobody is having any constructive complaint on him. But you watch. That's the reason he's saying, give me the correct century. What my Oracle is doing, I don't want. Give me the correct century. When he says correct century, is expecting RR format indicator. Therefore, you are not picking up your process with RR format indicator. That's why yesterday I was very clearly saying RR format indicator should be used in date only. So I will use this RR format indicator directly in, say like you watch, in this case you is saying, so I will use this RR format indicator directly in my Tucar. Keeping RR here will not make any difference. If RR is coming, it should come within the date. So when century corrections are demanded from you, how many times you can understand the assumptions what the interviewer gives you, and he is expecting give me the correct century to this. Any time your interviewer is giving some years like that, and is telling that give me the date to 4-digit year by giving 2-digit years. Corrected to correct century is definitely cornering you for an RR format indicator. These are all thumb rules. These are all some situational keywords you have to catch it and you have to get prepared. Question is not difficult. Answer is also not difficult. Your approach is not correct. You may lose the marks. That's what I'm trying to say. So, are you practicing blindly or are you practicing for approach? Now, this is not the correct